but it wasn't always this way.
Wholesailing! You guys still with us? That was one badass video, right? My boy Dutch Jackson made that for us. So we're super excited to be here, guys. This is an absolutely amazing event, and honored to be up here on this stage with all these amazing speakers. Kind of wanted to set the expectation for you guys real quick. We're going to tell you a little bit about who we are, and at that point in time, we are here to serve you guys. Okay, so I had the idea. There's a ton of amazing speakers, and really my wheelhouse is just answering people's questions and pouring into them. So we're going to have live Q&A, kind of like other speakers have had. We moved the microphone over here so we can actually see you, and that way we can wrap it around. So hopefully you guys got tons of questions for us. But I'm RJ Bates, this is Jamie Woolley, and now we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are and why you should listen to us.
So before we tell you about who we are, there should be a survey in front of each and every one of you. I don't know if you've ever put on an event before, or maybe even your kid's birthday, or have been to a birthday that was like pretty cool. There's a lot of work that goes into these events. I can't even tell you how much work. So in order for them to do a better job, for them to know what they did well, what you liked, what you didn't like, please just take 2-3 minutes, fill out that survey, and then drop it off at the registration form, and they would really appreciate it. So I hope you're getting value from it. Please help and give them value back, negative or positive, give them that feedback. So my story, I live in Dallas, Texas right now. I'm from a small town of about 5,000 people, and I kind of wanted to start with like how I got into this business and what I was doing before. I feel like I've told this story 100 times, so if you've heard it, I'm sorry, but if you haven't, here we go. I was working as an office manager for $40,000 a year. As an office manager, I basically would do paperwork, spreadsheets, answer the phone, do things like that. All of the things that actually now are my greatest weaknesses, I was doing as what should have been my strength. I was absolutely miserable. But it was my dad's company, and I tried a couple things before as an entrepreneur and failed at them, and immediately said, okay, I don't know what I want to do, so I'm going to go work for him for about a year, answer phones, whatever. I was young, and then I'll know my next step. What am I going to do? Well, I got in, and I ended up staying there for 8 years. I enjoyed working with him, but I absolutely hated my job. But I stayed. So 8 years later, one day, and I don't even know what happened, I was just absolutely miserable, and I realized that I wanted so much more, not monetarily. I wanted to give back, I wanted to inspire people, but I didn't feel like I'd ever have a way to do that. Like, who wants to listen to somebody that's sitting working in an office? And I wasn't even happy about it. How am I going to, help somebody? How am I going to buy this or go on this vacation, do something cool with my daughter? I didn't have those means. And immediately I said, you know what, I'm going to go into real estate. I didn't know anything about it, but I know when we got our first home, we renovated it all ourselves. So we did all the work, nights and weekends. We lived with my husband's mother, and I enjoyed doing that. And of course, like everybody else, I watched HGTV, and so I thought, I could do this. I ended up getting my real estate license. I didn't tell anybody because as Raphael was saying, like, my dad's glass is always half full. My husband is like, no, you're good, you're safe, like, you're making a salary, like, stay there, when I kind of brought this up to them. So I said, you know what, I'm going to get my real estate license. I did. So I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning and got my real estate license online. I did not tell anybody I got my license until I had passed. And I got my sign, and I literally stuck it in the front yard while we were having dinner as a family on Sunday, and my parents were over. It's like I got my real estate license. You guys, I was so proud because school was not my thing. I hated school. I can't be still. I don't have a large attention span. It's really small. And passed the class and said I'm going to flip houses. So I started telling everybody that I needed to buy a house. So at the job that I was currently working at, I gave them 4-month notice. One of the contractors said, you know what, my brother and I, so it was him and a twin brother, my brother and I have a house that we inherited 3 years ago. We're behind on taxes and it needs some work. And I said, oh my gosh, I'll buy it. So I went over there, walked through the house, had no idea how to close, had no idea how to do any of that, and got my first house, did sign the contract. My very first flip, I made $30,000. So after making $40,000 for an entire year, I made $30,000 on one flip. Needless to say, I was hooked. So I tried to find another house and realized it wasn't that easy just to find houses. I ran across Wholesailing Inc., of course. So I'm a firm believer in education, courses, training, mentorships, masterminds. And that's what changed my life. I learned how to wholesale. My first year, I did 17 deals. My second year, I did over 100 deals. And so I do over 100 deals solo, by myself. There's no partner, husband, any of that. It's me. And that's what I do in my business. I buy and hold, I flip, I wholesale, and I've got land that I've acquired previously, split it up, thrown houses on, and I've got 3 more parcels I'm doing that. So that's kind of where I started and who I am. And I want you to keep in mind that, again, this was just 3.5 years ago that I was sitting behind the desk making $40,000 a year, but I had a desire to change. And most importantly, I had the work ethic and the action to back that up. So that's me in a nutshell.
So I'm going to tell you who I am, but real quick, I wanted to share a story about Jamie and how we actually met each other. I was on Don Costa's podcast, who's speaking tomorrow, and Jamie heard the podcast, and she knew that we were in DFW. She reached out to me, and I will forever remember this conversation because she calls me and she says, I just need help. You know, I don't think I know everything that I need to know. And I said, okay, how many deals have you done? She said, I've done 33 deals. I said, okay, that's pretty good. You know, I mean, you're doing all right. I mean, most people say this, they've never done a deal, or maybe they've done 1 or 2. And I said, so, I mean, what do you need help with? She said, selling the deals. I said, okay, well, how many drop contracts have you had? And she said, what do you mean? I said, how many houses have you contracted and not been able to sell? You know, you had to drop the contract. She said, Tom, I've never done that before. And I was like, Jamie, you're not the typical person that reaches out to me and asks for help. You know, you've done 33 deals all by yourself. You've never dropped a contract. And at that point in time, we kind of wrapped up the conversation because she realized at that point in time, she was doing all right for herself. So I'll never forget that conversation. But I'm RJ Bates. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. I've lived in Fort Worth, Texas my whole life. My story, we'll go all the way back to high school because it means a lot to me. And it kind of tells my journey. But high school football, senior season, it ends Friday night. Saturday morning, mom comes in and says, get your ass out of bed and go get a job. You can't come home until you have one. And she meant that. So literally, I could not go home. So I went out, filled out applications all day long, wasn't getting interviewed, wasn't looking like I was going to get a job. So eventually, I walked into a Pizza Hut and I begged the general manager for a job, and he hired me as a delivery driver. I was 18 years old. My parents had given me a gas card. I became a delivery driver, and I was making far too much money as an 18-year-old with a gas card. Dad didn't catch that I had the gas card for 6 months, so I was killing it. So I ended up sticking at Pizza Hut for far too long. I went to North Texas for college, didn't finish college, but stuck at Pizza Hut, got promoted shift manager, assistant manager. Age of 23, I had my own restaurant over by TCU in Fort Worth. And I was just kind of stuck in this. I enjoyed the promotions, how the people talked to me. I worked for 2 restaurant general managers of the year at Pizza Hut. They got to go to the Kentucky Derby. I got to just work double shifts because of it. But it was just something that I was getting a high on. You know, I was good at it. And one day, a corporate executive came in from Jacksonville, Florida. I had just taken over my restaurant, and taking over a restaurant's a lot like rehabbing a house. You got to demo it, tear it all down to build it back up. And he came in during the demo process, and he brought me out in my lobby, and he said, this is shit. I don't know why you got promoted. You're just an overglorified shift manager. We should fire you today, right in front of some of my regular customers. And at that point in time, that was like God's way of speaking to me, saying, you're doing the wrong thing, son. Like, you're meant for way better things than working for Pizza Hut. And so I quit right then and there. I was 26 years old. I cashed in my 401k and I went and bought a house, lease option. Made that investor a ton of money. Didn't realize what I was doing. My family thought I was crazy because I quit my job, cashed in all of my money, and then bought a house. And to this day, I don't know why I did that. It was just what I felt like I was supposed to do. I went and worked at a golf course, cleaning off the golf carts for minimum wage. And I felt like I needed to clear my mind. At that point in time, that's when about a month after I worked at that golf course, that's when the entrepreneurial journey started. My best friend, Cassie DeHaas, back in the back, she's my partner at Titanium Investments. She's been my partner since day one. And in 2012, we started our first company, Fairway Solutions, not real estate related. We were a consulting firm for general contractors. At that point in time, I decided none of us have ever been a general contractor, but now I'm an entrepreneur, so I can do whatever I want. So we ended up selling roofs. Cassie sold the roof, door knocking. We did that roof, made more money than we had ever made in our lives. He asked us, do you remodel houses? Said yes. He was doing a flip, bought it from a wholesaler. We went and did the remodeling. Never remodeled the house before, but we did it, and he made a lot of money. At that point in time, we started looking into what is wholesaling. And I realized as a general contractor, you're the middleman. You've got the subcontractors that do the work, and you've got the homeowner, and we're the middleman. Wholesaling, you're the middleman. You've got the cash buyer, you've got the motivated seller, and I said, that's a hell of a lot more fun than going to pick up a ton of sheetrock and paint on the weekend and doorknobs and all this other stuff, and they're making more money. So we started looking into wholesaling August of 2014, and the first deal we ever did, because this is what I was told to do, I made an offer on a property on the MLS, got it under contract, slapped it on Craigslist, sold it a couple hours later, and made $7,000, and I was hooked. Didn't make 30 or 40 like you did, but we made 7, so I was hooked. And at that point in time, that was August of 2014, I pretty much abandoned Cassie and the contracting business, deep dove into educating myself in real estate investing. And January 1 of 2015, we shut the doors on the contracting business, went full-time into wholesaling, did about $750,000 in assignment fees that first year. Second year, we went up over $1 million. And at this point in time, we invest across the country. Like Simon said, we're in Hawaii, Alaska. We dabble in Phoenix, but not like these other Phoenix guys in here. But we've got quite a bit of rentals in St. Louis, Missouri, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and of course, here in DFW. So that's our story, and that's who we are. Hopefully that inspires you guys to at least pay attention to us a little bit while we're up here. We just want to bring a ton of value to you guys, okay? So while Jamie and I were thinking about our speech yesterday, we listened to a lot of the speakers, and unfortunately for us, they crushed our speech yesterday. I mean, they nailed all of our topics. And so we were kind of like, hey, let's go back and rewrite our speech, okay? Because we want to pour into you guys something that you haven't already been told. So I know BP talked about the millionaire mindset yesterday, but Jamie and I are both very passionate about mindset because we feel like it's what has enabled us to do what we're going to do, okay? So is it okay real quick if we talk about our mindset, why it's important to you guys for a little bit? Okay. So, for me, a couple of things that I was told when I first got started that made a huge difference for me is first and foremost, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. Okay? So I live by that, and it's what's enabled us to do a lot of crazy things, okay? The other thing, and something that I really want to pour into you guys, and I want you to understand that I actually live this way. There's a difference between being rich and wealthy. There's a difference between being poor and broke, okay? You can be rich and still be poor in the mind, okay? So no matter what room I walk into, I am the wealthiest person in the room, okay? Sometimes that's really hard to do when I walk into rooms like this, okay? But I want to make sure that you fully understand that that is something that I've embraced with my life. That's what's enabled us to do some of the things that we do, raise the private money that we've been able to. And I want you guys to embrace that for us, okay? So we're gonna share something with you guys real quick, and hopefully it gets some value for you guys.
We all came here today to scale our businesses because we wanted freedom. In order to achieve freedom, you must do one thing, and one very powerful thing, and fix your mindset.
You have to fix the mind before you can bestow the blessing, because until they get their mind right, everything you invest in them is going to leak out of the crevices of a mind that refuses to change. Look at your neighbor and ask him, do you have a mind to change? Wait for an answer. If they say no, drag them to the altar. Tell them they got till midnight to get that fix. They got till midnight to dump out all jealousy, all pettiness, all unforgiveness, all strife, all malice, all confusion, all blaming other people for your mistake. You got till midnight to get rid of every poison that's hindering you, every inflexibility that's stopping you from what God is about to pour into your life. Woe be unto you if you go into another year and waste another year with the old mentality while somebody's in the hospital begging God for the opportunity that you have right now. You better step into this moment.
All right, guys, so I know that's a little bit religious, right? I'm not trying to pour that down your throats. That song means a ton to me, okay? Because when I first heard that, we were going through a very difficult time in our company, okay, Titanium Investments, because I like to call myself now the Cookie Monster. I like to buy all the houses, sometimes without having the right processes and the people in the right seats, okay? And so I had to learn through hard times, and that song carried me through some pretty dark times. The reason why I've got Hawaii up here is because when I first heard that song, I was in our Hawaii branch with my childhood best friend and our partner in Hawaii, Elijah De La Garza. And we literally slept on air mattresses in our office for about a week straight, just working on our business. And one night he played that song as he was taking a shower, and I was supposed to be working on something. And I literally just like sat there and cried because I realized some of those hard-hitting lines there, like, you know, how dare us sit here and complain when someone's sitting in a hospital bed begging for opportunity in front of us, right? Think about the opportunity that's in front of you right now. I've actually had people come up to me at the Next Level Flipping booth and complain because it wasn't exactly what they want. Yet they're sitting in rooms with people that have done thousands of deals willing to pour into you right now. It's all about what's going on up here. I literally told somebody earlier today, said the reason why you haven't gotten what you wanted is because you came in here today with the wrong mindset. That's it. Okay? And that's why we wanted to talk about this today, because at one point in time I had the wrong mindset. I was sitting there saying, if this contractor had just done the right thing, or if you know, Elijah hadn't told me the rehab budget was $60,000 and now it's $100,000, I was complaining. My mind was very fragile at that time, and that song changed my life. So for anybody interested in listening to the whole song, it's about 7 minutes long. With Steve Angelo with TD Jakes. It's called Rejoice. I share that with everybody that I speak to because it means a lot to me. And so maybe you've heard me talk about it before on the podcast, but check it out if you haven't. And we just wanted to share that moment with you guys. So one of the things that he says in that song is you've got to let go of the past and step into the future. So Jamie, when you were getting started in real estate, like you were working a job making $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right? Who did you have supporting you to get started?
Actually, so I think this is really important to tell you guys, but I went to my husband and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. And he's like, babe, like, look, like, you're good at your job, you know, you're doing what you need to do, and Like, I don't think that this is what you should do. I don't think that makes sense, you know? Basically didn't believe that I could make it happen, right? Which is another driver, you know, for me for sure. And I thought, man, like, and you know, all of our money went together, joint checking and everything like that. But for some reason, I didn't feel like I could take, you know, $3,000 or $4,000 out, you know, because I asked him, I'm like, hey, you know, I wanted to be on the same page about that. He's like, yeah, no, it's not going to work out. And I'm like, okay, that sucks. So then I was talking to my dad about it, and he's like, look, I really don't think that this is probably something that you should do. You know, and my dad knows nothing about real estate, by the way, but, you know, the market goes up and down, and, you know, you could lose a lot of money. And so I literally, like, had no one in my corner. There was a tech that worked at my dad's company, and he had always come in, and he's like, you're going to, like, kick ass with something someday. I don't know what it is. He's like, but you're amazing. And so I was talking to him, and I was like, man, I really want to do this, but he's like, do not listen to your dad. Do not listen to your husband. Like, do you? And so he was the only one in my corner. So I went to my dad and I said, listen, I said, can I have a $5,000 loan? He's like, okay. So I literally started all of this, everything I have, with 2 non-believers, and like most important person in the world to me, other than like we got God up here, like matter of fact, number 1, is my dad. And my dad believed me, he loved me, he believed in me, but yet he still didn't think that I could probably do that. And so he was trying to protect me by telling me don't do that so I wouldn't fail, fall, and struggle. But in the end, it like hurt, and it gave me more drive to be like, man, like the 2 men in my life don't feel like I can do this. So I was like, y'all better fucking watch out. Like, so that is like my driver though. Like really, like that's it. Like I wanted those 2 people alone just a little bit, right? So I was like, okay, watch what I'm gonna do. And I did it, okay? You have to have a driver. You have to have a driving force, whether that's changing the legacy in your family. You know, it doesn't matter. It's all personal. Each of us have our own personal thing, right? But if I would have listened to my father and my husband, I would not be standing here today. I would not have a 7-figure company. I would not have thousands of dollars coming in residually a month to me on houses that I own. I would not know how to get land and take land at $5,000 an acre and flip it each acre for $50K. None of that would be possible if I would have listened to the 2 closest people. So you're gonna have people say, you can't do this. You're gonna have people at the office or people down the street or your family or your friends. You guys are going to have to lean on other people, your community, a mastermind, a mentor, or that one tech at the office that believed in you. The one. Or God. Or know from me that you can do this shit. Like, so I'm telling you, if no one else gives you permission, if no one else tells you that you are good enough that you can, let me be the one to tell you that you sure are and you sure can. And everybody else, they need to silence. But that's important for you to understand that that was my past. That was my corner. That's all I had. I got here because of God and because of my hard work. So I'm giving you permission. Now you're going to have to put in the hard work.
Who here has somebody currently in their life that's doubting them, or actually said to you, why would you spend that much money to go to Houston to hear other people talk about real estate? Who had that happen? Every damn day, right? Chris Gibbons and I were talking about this morning, right? I got it, guys. I've got it right now. You know what I got told? RJ, why do you want to go play superstar, rock star, go up on the stage and do this and that? We've got problems going on in our company that we need to fix, right? Believe it or not, maybe I'm speaking for all the speakers, but almost all the speakers have problems going on in their companies, right, that we could be working on.
I got 99, believes ain't one.
But we wanted to come here and pour into you guys. And, you know, for me, I removed that cancer from my life when those people say those types of things. I tell Cassie, I tell Jamie, there is literally nothing more important for our company than my mind. Like, if there's somebody that is toxic for me, I have to remove them. And one of those things that was toxic for me was my past. Like, I had to remove all of that from me. from the fact that I grew up with alcoholic parents, that I thought I had a perfectly normal childhood, and now that I'm 34, I'm like, wow, that was pretty fucked, man. But I'm over that, right? I've got to let go of all of the things in the past that were holding me back. I thought I was supposed to go to college, and then I realized, like, hey, I can't do it. Like, I failed like 5 times at college. I just couldn't do it. I wanted to be a football coach so damn bad, and I just can't figure out the anatomy of the body. Like, I can't pass that first class, so I can't get a kinesiology degree. So I had to let go of all those things, and eventually I found my calling and my passion. And we really just wanted to share these things with you because we're showing to you guys, like, this is actually, like, if you talk to me and Jamie just like over dinner, Jamie and I talk on the phone all the time, and we actually talk about this, like, nothing is more important to our company than what we're talking about today. Not the list that we pull, not the marketing that we do. All of that can be taught to anybody. It's about, if we didn't have the right mindset, we wouldn't be able to do it. So, Jamie, this is totally you right here.
Are you sure? Community. I have been made fun of in our little real estate Dallas circles for like, oh yeah, that's Jamie. She's the one that spends, a lot of money on marketing and a lot of money on education. Damn right I do. So I am always educating in myself, my mind, my team, how to get better, surrounding myself with the best, and I would never change anything about it. These are from people who have, never been in an event like this. They think it's, like, why would anybody do this? Never have taken an online course or anything like that. I started from a course that was $5,000 and just taught the basics of wholesaling, nothing special. But I started with that. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know how to do what I'm doing. I, am in masterminds. I am friends with many, many people in this room, and we all lean on one another to, move forward, to move past struggles. I talk to RJ all the time, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Like, I call him on my 45-minute drive, and we just go back and forth, and we talk about problems. We're open when we're having struggles. If we're losing money on a deal, or, something's not going well in our business, we're not getting enough leads, we are not being able to sell our deals very well, whatever it is, you have to have a community to be open to. I think a lot of times in this industry, people try to chest puff a lot. I don't do the chest puff thing. You don't need to do that. Like, I'm kind, I'm humble, I love everyone. I'm not better than anybody. It doesn't matter if I have $1 or $0 or live in a double wide, or none of that matters, right? We're all people, we're all human, and you've got to have that community that you know, that you trust, and most importantly, that is positive and is going to have your back, right? Like, you want people that will have your back, good, bad, whatever. So community to me is very, very important. I surround myself with others. I do not allow toxic anything into my life. My brother's a heroin addict. My brother's been into jail, in and out of jail. He just got out about 2 weeks ago. I love my brother. I have my brother's back. But I can no longer spend hours and hours on the phone with my brother because he drains me. So I'm there, I pray for him, I love him. There is toxic people in your life, whether it is your family or your friends, that only are going to take. He's a taker. You may not mean to be a taker, but he's a taker. So I give the only amount that I can give. So that's an example. You probably have people like that in your life. And you're going to have to remove yourself from those people and create a community around you that wants to see you succeed. Like, when I see people in this room, Batch, for example, like, you'll see me wearing their shirts all the time. They're my people. I love their product, I use their product, and I love them. Like, they have my back. Those are the kind of people that you need to have in your corner. You can find that in so many different arenas. You can find it at ureas, you can find it in masterminds, you can find it in, help me out here.
You should be finding it here today.
Here?
I mean, this is a great way for you to start a community. But real quick, I think we've got the perfect example for this. Like, Jamie and I don't need to sit in here and talk about it. Like, a community is a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals, okay? You want the perfect example? Let's go ahead and look at everybody here from Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, you brought up Batch, right? But we've got the real estate disruptor guys. We got Max and Steve. We got Pace and Jamil. I mean, I'm talking to these guys and I'm blown away. Jamie and I, just 2 nights ago, were like, hey, we need to be like the Phoenix people. Like,
Phoenix clique, that's what we call
we
you
got to
guys.
get this going in
The Phoenix
DFW. Like right now, our DFW clique's pretty small. It's like RJ and Jamie talk on the phone. That's about it. So, but these people, I mean, they're doing deals together. They support each other. They have masterminds going on together. You know, I mean, Jesse came up to me today from Batch and was talking about, hey, you guys need to come out for Steve's event. And the way he feels about it, it's also his event. Maybe it's Steve's platform, but they're a sponsor of it. It's all of their event. They do that together. Pace was telling me today, maybe he shared this in a speech, but I was backstage trying not to throw up. He said that he went and ran 2 appointments and Jamil's going to sell it for him. Boom, I think he made like $32,000 on those deals or something like that. That's having each other's back. That's a community right there, right? So we really want to instill that into you guys. I've seen it in other areas. Marco, I've seen it a little bit in San Antonio. Y'all got some things going on where y'all work together. You've got the guys here, Quentin Flores. I mean, all you guys get together, and that's inspirational for us from DFW because really we kind of lack in that area. So if you're feeling like that's lacking in your area, look at these people that are killing it, crushing it, and being able to do a lot more by working together, okay? So I talked way too long in that last slide, but this is my slide.
This is your slide, though, so like you're not throwing me in on this.
So I wanted to throw something up there, that kind of symbolized the castle. And the reason why is because I have always had this feeling that both my company and my mind is fragile like a glass castle, okay? And one part of my community is listening to music, man. That's why I shared the Rejoice song. I just get inspiration by people that can put words into an art form. And there's a song called Glass Castle by Tavana that I listened to, and when the first time I ever heard it, that phrase, glass castle, just resonated with me so much. And so to kind of cap off our talk about mindset and things like that, I'm going to talk about this for a couple minutes, but we are going to be moving to Q&A here in a couple minutes. So for anybody that has any questions, please start lining up here on the left, because I've got about 120 seconds, and then it's going to get real awkward if nobody lines up on the left side, okay? So the glass castle to me is, I was told originally at my first ever mastermind that if I didn't start building any kind of passive residual income, it's eventually all going to come crashing down. RJ, you're super great at wholesaling properties and flipping houses, but when things change, if you don't have any kind of residual income, passive income, it can all come crashing down. That thought of having it as a glass castle is such a good analogy, because when I look at it, it's like we feel like at times we're rock stars when really we're not doing a whole lot, right? And the power in 2019 in this day and age where you can post a couple of things on Facebook or IG and you get a ton of comments, likes, oh RJ, you're amazing, and then if you really want to get a big ego, go start a podcast, and then you feel like you're, on cloud 9 all the time. And to me, it was something that I found out that I had to protect. And my mind is super fragile, and as you guys can tell, it can also, it can be super strong, but it can be very fragile, and it's so important to me. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because if anybody else is ever feeling like their company is fragile, work on that. Work on yourself and just avoid the glass castle scenario, okay?
A+. My name is Greg. I'm here in the Houston market. And my question is to that comment that you made where you said you could purchase an acre for $5,000 and flip it for $50,000. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Definitely. So if you live by land, there is not a lot of affordable housing where I live. So what we will do is we will basically go to the rural areas where no investors really like to play. In fact, we get amazing deals in these areas, and we can't sell them to save our lives. So we'll go into rural areas all across Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, there is hundreds and hundreds of thousands of acres, and you can buy them very, very cheaply. And then you will throw on a modular house. You could build depending on what price per square foot, or you can throw on a double wide. I mean, you're talking about you're all in at 80, 90, and easily sell it all day long within 7 days at 150, 160, 170, because there is no affordable housing there. Builders are not going to come in because there's no profit margin. They're not going to do that. It doesn't make any sense. They'll come in, but they're going to start at the 250 range. There is a sweet spot there, and large investors don't want to play with that because it's not scalable. You're buying smaller tracts and things like that, because you can't throw 200 up at once. I mean, it needs to kind of be a 5 and a 10 and a 7. So it's just kind of a little niche that, I mean, you do have to live in the right area. You know, you have to have some of the right connections as far as, you know, with money and things like that to take it down. But it's actually very simple. So I'll be more than happy to talk to you more in detail. If you think you need more detail, I mean, that can help you.
She'll talk to you for like 2 hours about it. She talks to me about it every morning.
I'll see you soon.
That'll work. I'm Trent. I'm out of the San Antonio area, and my big thing is mindset. Like, I know, like, I've done a deal in the past, but then I just kind of stopped, and I wasn't where I needed to be in the correct headspace. And coming to this event, I realized that that seems to be like the most important thing, kind of like the foundation before I do any real building. So, like, I guess I don't know, like what's something I can do to kind of keep myself in that good space?
Okay, yeah, right off the bat, you need to stop thinking and just start taking action, okay? You need to set goals for yourself on making offers. Like, every day you need to wake up about how I'm gonna make offers. You've only done one deal, you gotta get going to get to your second deal and your third deal. You start stuffing your pipeline, man. Like, you're too much in your head. Like, I'm up in here all the time too, but I'm trying to slow myself down. You're like killing yourself by stopping yourself because you're worried about things that you don't need to be worried about right now. You know, I mean, you're one deal in. My thing to you is don't have analysis paralysis. Go out there and take action. Is that Jason Witherspoon right behind you? Maybe you need to talk to Jason Witherspoon, because I gave him the same talk about 2 years ago. I put my foot up his butt, and he's gone out and he's killed it. So just start taking action, brother. I mean, you're in a great market. You've got guys that surround you that if you have questions when you start having struggles, go to their meetups. They'll help you with any struggles that you have at that point in time. Surround yourself with the community. Go to the RIAs and ask questions there. But right now, like, honestly, are you going to the thing tonight where we're all going to go get drunk and hang out all night?
I didn't even know about that, really, and I don't drink, so no.
Okay, you don't have to get drunk, but if you're, dude, honestly, I would want you to go make an offer right now. Like, go on Facebook Marketplace right now and make an offer. The last time I told somebody to do this at an event, he got it under contract right then. So go on Facebook Marketplace and make an offer right now.
But before you do that, so like I hear where he's coming with that. But
What I do, Mom?
that was that was a good question. But like, nobody knows what you've been through, where you've been, like why your mindset's where it's at, right? Like, we don't know. We don't know you. We don't know what struggles you've had. So it is easy to say that, and I agree that you must take action. But some tools and some tips and tricks, if I can give them to you that maybe have helped, like me at the point in my stage, again, I had naysayers doubting me the whole time, you know, right? Like I only had a little bit of money. It was like I had this one shot to make it. I listened to at least 30 to 45 minutes of like motivational stuff every day. Like TD Jakes is one of my favorite. I've got like on YouTube, I've subscribed to some motivational stuff. I mean, we were literally going to get the Lululemons for RJ during lunch. And I played my motivational. It's like this 3-minute and 30-second, you know, it's like the harder I work, the luckier I get. Like it just, like it revs me up when I listen to that stuff. So like I'll get in the car, like you're driving somewhere, like, you know, crank that up. That's not it for everybody. Somebody, you know, some people want to like moose on, that kind of thing. Not my thing. But whatever it is for you, like find what does it for you, right? Like I don't know what that's gonna be, but find that. Is there somebody you look up to? Like surely, you know, if it's somebody that's in, you know, like a movie star, a singer, a basketball player, or whatever. Like, read their biography, see what they've come through. They've all had struggles, every single one of them. What did they do to motivate themselves? But there's many things you can do to motivate yourself to change your mindset. But I think the most powerful thing is to, read books. And I'll be happy to give you some books on mindset. I have a lot. And then again, that's my thing. It's like those motivational, just like crank it up videos, like get me just like going, like wired.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You go outside and make an offer on Facebook Marketplace. It's really easy. Serious.
All right, if that's what y'all think, then.
We do it every day. Like so. Look, full disclosure, I know RJ. 2 years ago when we met, I was starving to death. Right? Like I didn't even know what ARV was. When I met Jamie before that, I didn't know what ARV was either. For the newbies in this group, the folks that have come here, they don't have any marketing budget. They don't even know where to start. What is that first step? What is that actionable first step they can take that they can go out right now with no budget, no money in their pocket, and go find a deal to bring to one of these beautiful people in this room and get this thing disposed of and moved on down the road?
So how I did it when I first started, I found the second deal I ever did. I told you the first deal was with my, a contractor that worked in my father's company. The second deal I did was from Craigslist, and the third was from door knocking. So you can go out to homes. There's driving for dollars. You can use services to do driving for dollars. But again, that costs money. So what did not cost money for me was Craigslist and door knocking. I wanted it that bad. So I would go on Craigslist and I would make offers and I would call people and I would door knock. So if you have $0 in the bank, then 3 things you can do is go on Craigslist and make offers, call every single person, go on Facebook Marketplace, make offers, call every single person, and drive around or walk around. If you don't have a car, walk around and find, and if you don't have a car, trying to think, get yourself to the areas where you think there will be some distressed houses. If you're not there already, then get yourself there some way, bus line, whatever, and knock on doors. And if you need to know what contract to use, I'll be happy to share my purchase agreement. It's a 1.5-page purchase agreement. And you can find a script online to do door knocking. You can find everything you need. That's all for free. So those are the things that I suggest to do.
So a couple of things that I was blown away the other day because, sometimes we preach things to people about what you should do to try to increase your business, right? Jamie and I had the opportunity to speak at the $1 Million meeting in Dallas, and after we go to lunch, and we had to be back quick, and we didn't know what anything was, so we went to Wendy's, right? I was sticking to my diet, and we went to Wendy's, and I'm worried about my Baconator and getting my ketchup and all that. And Jamie's over in the corner because there's 3 mailmen, and she's like writing on their napkins, here's my name, here's my phone number, call me, this is what I'm looking for, I'll text you where you can submit the info. And she created 3 bird dogs right there, okay? So if you don't have any money, I'm sure you're probably eating something like Wendy's, right? You get another $1 menu. Find people to go out there and do work for you, right? Leverage the opportunity that you have for other people. Other things, auction sites, I love them. We bought deals off of them, auction.com, Hubzu, Zone. And I have also bought deals from wholesalers that they got off of auction sites in places like Hawaii, St. Louis, areas like that. So those are free. All it takes is a lot of time watching the auctions, setting those notifications, and waiting for them to get to the right price point. So if you don't have any money, it's all about how much sweat equity and leveraging the opportunity that you have for other people. All right, next question.
Hi, Tisania. This question's actually for Jamie. That me and my husband were from Houston, and we're just getting started in the business. And one of the main reasons we're getting started is because we want to spend more time with our son. So we spend a lot of time at work. We come home tired, so on. So I know this is going to be a journey, and it's going to be hard work. So if you have any advice or pointers on how do you manage being a mom? How do you manage working a full-time job and then still come home and hustle? I mean, pretty much that's what we're gonna have to do, you know? So do you have any pointers, any advice on how to balance, you know, like you said, having a family, being a mom, and working at the same time? So.
Yes, no, I understand that struggle in a huge way. So I had my daughter when I was 20 years old, so I was young. She was a blessing, we were not prepared for this blessing. And so her and I are very, very, very close. I only have one daughter, and she means the world to me. And so in the beginning, I had to tell myself there's going to be some moments that I'm going to just be absolutely exhausted and not have much to give. But the end result for me was so clear that the grind was worth it. So I guess what I'm saying is it's going to be a grind. No, I don't have any helpful suggestions as far as the beginning. It will be a grind. I wanted to do it fast. I wanted to do it quick. And there was non-negotiables in there, things that I wouldn't miss. But it was definitely a struggle. I was exhausted. I would make sure to still spend the time with her, my husband, my family. They're going to bed at 9. I'm up till 2 or 3 in the morning. I would get 3 hours of sleep, 3.5 hours of sleep. I probably did that for 2 years. It's not for everybody. You don't have to do it that way. I wanted to be the largest female wholesaler in my industry. So that's the way that I chose to do it. But you don't have to do it that way. So now that I have a team, I found another business to do and things like that because I think I like it, right? I like the grind, I like the creation, I like the hustle. But no matter what, I have non-negotiables in my life. I do not miss her volleyball games. I am there to help her with her homework. There are certain things in my life that I will not miss, of hers. And to see it come to fruition and pay off, I was telling someone earlier, I heard herself doing positive affirmations in the morning the other day. And she used to make fun of me and Mom, why do you do that? And I would teach her and I'd say, Madison, do this. Mom, I'm not ever doing that. And I heard her do that. And then one of her friends the other day at school came up and said, Madison talks all the time about you and she's so proud of you and what you do and how you motivate and even though you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of that time, it is so worth it. And for them to be able to see their mom, what you're showing them that they can do and the hard work that it does take, because it's not just easy, that's going to be very, very meaningful. I remember looking at my dad and watching him work so hard. I'll never forget that. And that was very meaningful to me. So it will happen. Do the best you can. Have non-negotiables that no matter what, these things are a priority with my husband, with my kids, whatever. And then everything else, give it all you got.
Yeah, and I'll add something to that because I think a lot of times...
As a mom?
I want to add it from a dad's perspective because a lot of times we don't talk about it, right? Sometimes it's this stigma is changing, but over the course of time, it's been that not many people sit there and talk about how it's hard for a dad to work all these hours and get this set up, right? So I have 2 beautiful kiddos, and I think it's important for men to talk about that as well, because it's hard for me to be away from my kids for 4 days, right? I've got a beautiful daughter, she's 2 years old, and every day she's learning new words, so by the time I get back, it's going to be like she's got a whole new vocabulary. So I think it's important for men to also realize this, and time blocking, time management is super important. I love what you said about non-negotiables, right? There's things I'm not going to miss. I'm not going to miss a hockey game for my son. That, I don't care. The world could be falling apart. It was a couple weeks ago. We had an 89-unit apartment complex deal falling apart. And I said, look, it ain't going to fall completely apart for the next 2 hours. I'm going to go to my son's hockey game, and I'm going to give him my all. Now, I will also say this. Teach your kids what you're doing. They care about what mom and dad do every day, and talk to them about what you're doing. Back in the day, my son, he started this thing where we high-five, fist pump, hug, and kiss every morning. Now, over the course of time, he's added to that, buy data, buy some properties, sell some houses. That's how he tells me goodbye. He's 6 years old. That's what he tells me every morning. I'll also add one last thing. when I told him we were making a really cool video for Dad to come speak in front of a bunch of people, he's the one that picked that really cool song. That's from the kids' movie, so get them involved, you know, they help you out. So, what's the next question?
Awesome. Charlie, I'm with Clemson, Florida, in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
So y'all mentioned the lack of camaraderie in your market. Why do you think it's this way, and what steps are y'all taking or plan on taking to make it happen?
You know what? I will say this: we have the best real estate networking event in the country. With the Propelio event. That is the best event in the country. If anybody wants to argue or fight about it, we can go outside.
Propelio Academy is amazing.
Have you been to the Propelio event? Okay, you gotta blow me away, Asian. I have not. But
Yeah, real estate, actually, so I have. So I'm going to have to say that real estate disruptors and Propelio, it's like a side by side. I'm just going to be honest.
Okay, no more.
Yeah, it's a side by side.
So I will say that's a great event, but I think what we're lacking is really going back to mindset. It's a little bit of the abundance mindset, right? I mean, we're lacking the camaraderie where, hey, maybe I'm really good at acquisitions and she's really good at dispositions, right? Like Jamil is the dispo king, right? I talked to him the other night. I said, why in the world would I ever try to sell another property in Phoenix? If I get a deal, I'm just going to call him. Boom, I do have to work, you know? And now we're already doing that. Jamie's selling a ton of our deals, you know? And it's now finding somebody else, Nicole Espinoza, who's speaking in the morning. She does all of our short sales. She does Jamie's.
There's mine.
She does ours. It's building that network one person at a time that fits our culture and feeds into us and gives us energy. So for you with Quentin, I mean, I know you guys have like Aaron Bevins and Marco right behind you, and you've already got Pablo. You damn near recruited him, or now he's a part of the company, right? So y'all are doing that already. I think y'all are well on the right path in San Antonio for sure.
Thank you.
You didn't have anything to say there?
No, I really didn't. I'm good.
That was good.
That was the one you did a good job on. I'm good.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Marco Romero. I'm in San Antonio. ARJ and Jamie. You two are some fierce individuals in this industry and have built some businesses of impact. And you've done that independently. And now you've joined forces. And I assume that coming together is a bit of a dichotomy where you've maybe sacrificed in some capacities to be able to fit one another and mold with one another, but on the other side of the equation, you're leveraging each other's strengths and you're learning from one another, and there's a synergy there. Can you talk about that process of recognizing the opportunity to join forces, coming to that decision, and what it's like since you've done that?
Ooh, this is a good one. What version of the story do you want to tell? You know what? Jamie and I have been good friends ever since that time that we talked when she was doing 33 deals, right? And honestly, a lot of it has been us trying to find that sweet spot on how we can work together. Because like you said, there is a lot of sacrifice that goes into that. There's a lot of ownership that goes into what we had already created, right? And at times, it is hard to sit there and feel like you're going to be able to do more, either by slowing down or adding somebody to the team, right? Jamie and I are both extreme visionaries, okay? Like, she wants to be the visionary for her companies. I want to be the visionary for my companies. When it suddenly becomes our company, there's a lot of work and time and effort and communication that goes into that. That is the strength, though, that we have, is our ability to communicate, okay? Every now and then, I have an idea, and I think, because I know Jamie so well, I call Jamie and I'm like, hey, this is how we're going to do this, because we agreed, right? And then she has to call me back and go like, RJ, you know what, I thought about that. That's not actually what I want to do. And we kind of have to give and take and work with each other in that regard. And it is difficult at times, I'm not going to lie. but the fruits of our labor, seeing what we're able to do with next level flipping, changing people's lives and offering, resources to them that they may otherwise not have had, that far exceeds any ego or any tribulations that we might have working together.
Yeah.
Did I nail it?
You did a great job.
You want to say something this time?
No, you did a great job, Bob. You did a good job.
Awesome.
You did a
Good job.
Thank you, thank you. I'm a little short.
So I'm a beginner. I haven't had one wholesale yet. And you know how you go to all these different meetings and workshops and conferences, and everybody has different ideas, and you go, okay, which one's the right way to go? And so what I've already done was I've spent money on stamps and envelopes and all that, and I'm getting ready to mail out 600 because that's what one person told me to do. What I've learned here is I'm going to try cold calling and texting instead of, it's just as much money or less than all what I just spent on these envelopes and stamps and everything. But what I'm a little nervous about is, I'm hoping that when I send out these 600 that maybe I get one. Really, I'd be happy with one.
So would I, 600 mail.
We want to go ahead and break it off.
Was that bad? Is that not enough? Is 600 not enough to get one? Okay. Well, let me go ahead and answer my question. So there's, Jamie already mentioned to use a 1.5-page contract. I'm going to probably follow you out of here to get that. Because I didn't know if it was the 14-page contract or 2-page contract. Because, again, everybody says something different. But I do have a lot in I'm sorry, I'm from San Antonio and my name is Debbie. But I did not know, I have several that are out of state. So what's the process? Let's say I get a motivated seller in the house is in San Antonio, but they live out of state. What's going to be that process?
So
when I can't see them in, person, what's the process?
Yeah, I can hear you. So 2 questions. I just want to make sure that I understood. The first question is as far as kind of marketing, and you were set on one way, then you heard some other things here. And the second question would be, how do you work a wholesale deal if you have a motivated seller and the owner is out of state? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll talk about the first one. It is correct that it costs less to text and to send ringless voicemail. That's correct. You already have the stamps. Do you already have the envelopes licked and ready to go out the mail?
Everything's pretty much, I just haven't finished addressing them all, but I have everything.
Okay.
So I feel like I got to go ahead and follow through with
100%,
this.
100% you do.
And then move on.
So I don't suggest when you're new to start with 2, 3, 4 different marketing channels.
Amen.
I suggest that you stick with one and get good at it. I'm not saying that mail should be that one. I'm saying you've already done the 600, so throw those 600 out there, and then now take that list of that 600 or however large your list is, and start RVM texting. And at 600, you can pick up the phone and call as well. Right. Those 3 things, you're hitting them with 3 different ways versus the one way in mailing, and it's going to cost less than it is for your mailing. So if I were you, it was good advice you got about the RVM and text, but don't. Action number 1 when you get home, finish filling those out. Number 1, that's it.
Right.
Finish filling those out and put them in the mail. Right. That's number 1. Nothing else but that. Once you finish that, then you can start with the texting and stuff like that. Contract. When I got my first deal, I had no idea what contract to use, any of that kind of stuff. I just did it, and I said, once I get it to the title company, if it's jacked up, we'll figure it out. I am queen of mistakes. So we've got queen of short sales. I'm queen of mistakes. I fail a lot. But that's because that's because I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting to learn the entire book of this. No, I need to know just enough, and I'll figure it out. Be willing to fail. Be willing to make those mistakes. Be willing for your contract to be a little screwed up, but be honest about it. Listen, hey, I'm new to this. I'm going to take good care of you. I'm going to make sure that we get this done. But I want you to know that this is a new contract. I'm not super familiar with it. However you want to say that, be honest. People appreciate honesty. So if for some reason I have to change a couple of things in here, of course, as long as you're okay with it, will that be all right? Will that be all right? Most people are going to say, yeah, that will be all right. Okay? So that was number one. Number two, as far as if you're dealing with a homeowner that lives out of state, have you had this situation come up?
No, but they're on my list. They're on my list and they're out of state. Does that make sense?
Are you worried
I
how
have
you're
not
gonna-
done a deal yet, but how would I do it?
Are you worried about how you're gonna meet them and talk to them and buy their house?
How do I do that long distance? The title company will take care,
On the phone, yeah, there's mobile notaries and all that. If you run into that problem, you can call either me or Jamie. We'll walk you through that process. But right now, you're winking at the girl with the lights off, okay? You gotta turn the lights on so she knows you're winking at her, okay? Get your marketing out there and let's make that problem a reality, all right?
Okay, so recently I had the opportunity to come right along with you guys. And it was really amazing because you guys really opened up all of your business, your whole book of everything that you guys had. And we rode around to all of your properties and showed us all of your problem children, as you call them. The biggest takeaway for me was really to see that you guys are like nobody else. You have issues in your business. We walked into one of your houses and there was a contractor that was supposed to be there and they weren't. Like, the stain on the flooring wasn't quite what you thought that it should have been.
Right.
So what is it like to be held on this pedestal? You're up on stage and everybody has an opinion of how perfect your business must be versus what it actually is.
Yep. I like to call this the disease of 2019, right? Like social media, it does things. I never at any point in time said Titanium Investments is the most perfect company ever run. Everybody should learn from me. What I wanted to do was give back to the real estate investing community, so I started sharing our journey, right? And the next thing you know, I show up at events and people are like, dude, you're RJ Bates, you're crushing it. You run a perfect business. And I would get back in the car with Cassie and I'd be like, holy shit, we better figure out how to run a perfect business because everybody thinks we are. Like, what are we gonna do? And then at one point in time, I figured it out. Like, I didn't care anymore. Like, I actually wanted to start telling people about the problems, right? Because with nobody, how often do you hear people talk about the problems? I don't want to say anybody because I've seen people starting to do it. But yes, there are issues in this industry. RJ and Jamie have issues in our companies. We run two different real estate investing companies.
Well, wait, hold on. Can we talk about, did y'all see this video? First of all, I don't know where you all were the first 5 minutes because we had the coolest video in the world, but I think there was only 3 people in here. But there was a super fly video that Dutch over there made for us. And we are walking in the house and we're all so we're speaking to millionaire.
This is no shit, okay? This actually happened, okay?
This is the best. This was just last week, right?
Yes.
We're speaking at Millionaire Mindset, and we're there with, all of the speakers and hanging out with everybody, giving back and having a great time. And we have an hour for lunch, just like everybody else. We're like, we got to get this video made, because we're busy, right? So okay, we're going over there. So we're we got what?
When y'all watched the video, did y'all see the part where I'm sitting there and I'm texting somebody and Dutch came up real cool behind me?
3 of them did.
Y'all remember that? Maybe. There weren't many people in here at that point in time. Well, there's this really cool moment where I'm texting somebody, okay? Continue.
So we're walking in and we're all excited and we're okay, we're gonna get this video. So we're trying to get hype, okay, we gotta get this video. And I said, RJ, where's the stove? And he looked and he's like, what the fuck? The stove is gone. The house is completely renovated. We're over there about to shoot a video, this fly house. We're gonna look at the stove is completely gone. The week before that.
On the market, listed for $450,000.
Before that, his AC was gone, and this has only happened a handful of times to him.
And I made a cool YouTube video about the AC unit, hey, Dutch caught it all on camera. This is some HGTV shit, right? We're gonna put this on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, we can't do it again. Now it looks like
now it looks like we're staging it.
It's not cool anymore. But yeah, these issues happen, right? And a lot of this comes from scaling. And I'm glad, Katie, you brought this up because this is wholesaling, right? How are you going to scale your company? And a lot of times people think that means you've got to hire a bunch of people, you've got to get bigger. No, in reality, what you need to do is sit down and figure out what your core values are, what's important to you, and what your goals are and what you want. You might not want to net $1 million a year. You might just want to go to all of your kids' hockey games and all your kids' volleyball games and have a decent living. And if that's your goal, scale to that. Don't scale to some big number because somebody told you to do that, okay? We wanted to get that across because RJ and Jamie were told that what we were supposed to do was scale into these large companies, and we failed over and over and over again. We made mistakes, and yes, just like Katie said, I'm still dealing with some of those problem children. We're trying to get rid of them as we speak. But that's because we thought scaling meant we had to get very large companies, buy all the houses, and that's not necessarily what our core vision was, or our goals. So thank you, Katie, for that question.
Just a quick question. You guys are up here giving us a lot. Is there anything that our teams and our community could give back to you guys?
Hey man, that's a damn good question. I appreciate that right there. That's a good one right there. Jamie will let you know when she checks back into the game. I guess I'll go ahead and answer this one. You know what, man? First and foremost, I think you need to start sharing your journey, okay? That is one of the most powerful things that I've ever done, is sharing our journey on what we're doing. Either pick your medium, man, whatever it is, Instagram, Facebook, blog, podcast, whatever it is. My go-tos are the podcast, YouTube, Facebook, and now Instagram. It's starting to get a little bit overwhelming. I would say for you, pick one that you really enjoy, whichever one you're most comfortable with, and start sharing that journey because it's inspirational for people. I didn't understand the power of doing that until I started reaping the benefits. And if you go into it with the right reasons, if your why is correct in doing it because you want to give back and show people what you're able to accomplish, what you receive in return is insurmountable, okay? Think about it. I'm up here today, Jamie's up here today. Literally the only reason why is not because of anything that we've done special, it's because we shared our journey. And from starting a podcast and sharing that journey on Facebook, I was asked to host a show on Propelio TV. And from that, I met Elizabeth. And then Elizabeth met Rafi. You know, it all spiraled into now she wants to host this big event, and now I get to come pour into you guys. That is just the chain of events, just from me deciding, hey, I want to share my story on Facebook and in a podcast. So that's the biggest thing that you can do to the community is just share your story.
When do you decide to downscale something?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Very good one.
We're both going through that right now.
Yeah. So when I very first learned about this business, when I went to the mastermind, I didn't know any better. And the person running the mastermind, they would ask him a lot of questions. And he would say, I don't know, ask my assistant. I don't know, ask my assistant. Everything. And I thought that was the way it's supposed to be. Like, that's cool. You don't have a clue what's going on, So it means that you're not successful if you don't, have all of these people doing everything for you. And so that's the way that I was taught is listen, you need to start your business, you need a TC, you need acquisitions, you need dispositions, you need, and so on. So me not knowing any better, I went home and I hired 3 people immediately. I'm an action taker to a fault. I hired 3 people immediately. Well, I didn't have time to train all 3 of those people. I didn't have time to pour into them and give them what they needed to be successful. But I could have blamed them for not being successful, and really I needed to take ownership of it. It was because I didn't give them what they needed to be successful as a team for me. So I went about that the wrong way. That almost completely crushed me because I spent tons of marketing and this and that, and I pushed through it. It was the very beginning of my business. But as time has gone on, you know, there was a moment where my daughter had some struggles, you know, just blunt honesty, like some real hardcore depression, some things going on mentally, like hardcore struggles. I had to bounce out of my business for 2 months, and like it almost broke my business because we had scaled up so much. And although I have it systematized, it still needs me watching over it and making moves and like pivoting and doing things like that. So it is it's a real issue that there's a moment where you can see like, you know, yeah, I can do 300-400, you know, deals a year, but if things start, you know, turning, if you need to pivot, it's really hard to move a big cruise ship. But if you're in a canoe, you'd be like, what? You know, so I think it is good for you to think about it, but I want to know why you're asking, when do you know? Like, is there something
The reason I asked it is because, you see, we had to do that.
Okay.
It was painful because you got to let a lot of people go that you take.
Did you do that to increase your profit? Was your profit margins just getting too thin?
We did that because we saw the changes in the going on, and we needed to go to another system. And what we realized is once we asked people for commitment, people started falling off the boat by themselves. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say, because downscaling also, man, sometimes you got to do that. And we watch you guys. You guys are awesome. You know, everybody here that's here today, man, we watch them. We think they're awesome, and much love, people, man.
I appreciate that question, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my name is Anthony. I'm from DC. Actually, it's banking off what you just said. We're in the process of expanding markets. You got any advice on how to make sure you do get the right BOGs or boots on the ground in the markets?
So for us, we based a lot of that off of prior relationships. I mean, I hate to say that because it's like, I wish I could sit here and say, man, you know, you go to this website, you enter it in, you fill out this profile, and this is what you're going to do. But we haven't done it that way.
So the other way, though, is in this room, how many people are from Texas? Raise your hand. How many people are from a different state? Another state other than that one. Just kidding. So there is definitely people in this room, and even if it's not, if you came to me and said, hey, I don't want anything to do with Texas, but how about Phoenix? Like, I can give you 4 people right now to go talk to. So everyone in this room, whether it's speaker or someone sitting down, there's usually someone you can ask if you're interested in that market. So I would go with rooms like this, you know, groups that you trust online, things like that to help you find the boots on the ground if you don't already have one established.
Thank you.
Steve Train, the
Steve Train is coming up with the most epic question of all time. Ask me.
So I feel incomplete. I don't know if you can help me. I've got this podcast. And there's this guy that's missing on it. And I'm looking at my calendar. I got November 20th and December 11th open.
December 11th?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do December 11th.
December 11th. All right. I've been chasing RJ for 6 months. So I finally got to nail it down right here.
All right, guys, so that's what we have for Q&A. Thank you guys so much. We wanted to talk to you guys about this KPI spreadsheet that we want to share with you guys. Text 88202 to get the spreadsheet, and then the code is?
It's going to be next level. So again, we talked about, Raphael talked from a very high level about KPI metrics, and he said hold them accountable to that. Well, where do you know, if your lead intake does not get those metrics exactly, you're going to need to be able to go to that manager if it's not you yourself, which I think a lot of these people in the room today, it's going to be you yourself or maybe someone else. You need to know why they did not get there. So our KPI tracker that we use does have all of those metrics ticked out so that you can look and find out why you're not meeting those high level 6, 7, 8 metrics right there. So if you'll text 88202 next level, we will get that to you by Tuesday. Yes,
next level, one word.
We'll get that to you by Tuesday of next week. So we've been a little busy with the last week and this week.
Okay. 2 last questions, okay? What have you guys thought about wholesaling so far? It's been pretty amazing, right? Give them a round of applause. Last question is, Who is the wealthiest person in this room? Nah, that was bullshit. They all sound wealthy. Who's the wealthiest person in this room?